Welcome to Ciao Bella, hosted by yours truly, Erica Firpo, travel journalist based in Rome. Each week on Ciao Bella, I explore today's Italy, speaking with artisans, designers, hoteliers, architects, artists, Parmesan makers, in other words, the creators who are making the Italy that you love. So sit back and join in. Hi, this is Erica, and I'm here today with Giorgia Tozzi, who is the general manager of one of my favorite hotels in Rome, which is the Vilon, and also happens to be a friend of mine, a long-lost and refound friend of mine. Giorgia I met a long time ago. I remember I was in Trastevere looking for internet, and the internet store was closed, and I was crying. And this girl reached over a balcony and said, "Hey, come up and hang out with me and my friends." And I was, no. And then I was like, oh, she looks really nice. Oh, and her friend is cute. So I immediately went upstairs and we played foosball on the terrace. And I never got internet, but I met you.
Yes.
And now I've refound you here at the center, in the very, very center of Rome, in one of the most beautiful hotels.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you, because I know your story, because when we re-met up, I was like, so, what happened after the terrace? And maybe we can tell everybody, because when I met you, you were knee deep or neck deep in the film industry.
Yes, totally different, in a different path of my life, completely different path of my life. I wasn't even thinking of being a general manager of a hotel, which it was actually something that my sister wanted to be for all her life. And I really didn't know what to do. I always knew I wanted to be an actress in my life. I studied 10 years acting.
That's right.
And that's what took me to travel a lot around in Paris and New York, and then back to Rome, studying here. But then I understood that it was really difficult, and you really needed to be very, very passionate and determinata to do that. So one day I remember my sister told me, well, why don't you just, they're opening in this very beautiful hotel. It was 2000, it was the 2000, and she said to me, why don't you just apply, and you can still be, going to the acting classes and do your casting, and in the meantime, so at least you work. So by that time I had come back to Rome. I was already talking English and speaking French. So she said, you're quite sveglia, you're smart, you speak English, you speak French, you speak Italian. There's a new 5-star hotel properties opening up. Maybe, they'll hire you. So I did, and I went, and they hired me.
And that went on to become the most popular hotel in Rome, the Hotel dei Russi.
Sì, the Hotel dei Russi, Via del Babuino. And then after 2 years and a half that I was there, I started really, literally, I was at the reception, didn't know what to do at all. And but then I grew up, and then I went to doing the concierge, and then assistant manager, and then guest relations, and then I left because I thought this is not going to be my life.
Was that when you went to Mexico?
Yeah, no, that was afterwards, because at that point I said, okay, basta, I don't want to work in a hotel industry. No, basta, because I was working by then. It was because I'm somebody that really like to work, and I mean, not that I like to work, but when I work a lot, and I do.
You put yourself into it.
I put a lot,
yeah.
Yes. So I was, 10 hours, 12 hours a day. Hotel can really be a very, you forget the time, you forget to go out, you forget everything about it when you work. I mean, to me it's like that, and to those that are very passionate about this job. So I said, no, basta, I'm gonna get a nervous breakdown. And then at the same time, they were shooting Gangs of New York. They were starting to shoot Gangs of New York in Rome.
So that's when I met you. Yes.
And we were having lot of people from Miramax coming to the hotel, and then this was this beautiful lady, very nice lady, that she was working with, the Miramax office is there, and she said, oh, what are you doing? And I said, I'm thinking I want to leave. And she said, well, if you leave, let me know, because I will hire you immediately, because I was very, with them all the time, and so that's that's how I ended up. I resigned from the Derussy, and then I went to work for Miramax, and I got hired for a year and a half in Miramax, and I was working.
And then you were hanging out on
with
on what is it, Giuseppe's Terrace when I met you.
Yes.
So that was the Miramax years.
Yes, and then I had this. After a year and a half, there was a moment that I moved because the office closed, Miramax office closed. So I moved to Cinecittà to work with this production designer Francesco Friggeri.
Oh wow!
So I worked with him in Cinecittà, and then I worked with him like another year and a half. And then nervous breakdown arrived, kind of, because I broke up with my boyfriend, didn't have a job, didn't have a house, and my father said, go to Mexico, because he just bought a house in Playa del Carmen.
Oh, that's where you went, was
Yes.
Playa del Carmen.
Yes, and I said, okay, I'll go. So I went there a week. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't speak any Spanish at that time. And then I said, you know what, I will stay here a little bit. And it was beautiful by then because it was quite unknown yet. It was nothing like it is now. And I remember I stayed there like the first 2 weeks. I didn't talk to anybody. I was eating some rice. I was crying every day.
Typical breakup.
Typical breakup. And then I said to myself, you know, if I have to stay here, I will get the best out of it. And my father said, just do something, you know. And then I said, okay, I'll learn Spanish because I've always loved languages. So I've learned Spanish, and I spent 5 months there, and you know, of course, I recovered totally. And then the director of sales and marketing of the Derussy, she called me and said, "Where are you? What are you doing?" I'm in Mexico. Come back because I need somebody in the sales and marketing department taking care of all the Latin American markets. And I said, "But you need to speak Spanish very well."
You're like, of course.
And I said, "Yeah, you know, I'm here, I'm learning it, but I don't know if I want to come back to Rome because, you know, I didn't really want to come back." And she said, "Well, you come back." And then there was this friend of mine, she said, "Go back, and you can always come back here anytime." So I came back and I started again in the hotel industry, but not in the operational. So I went back to the Hotel de Russie, but in the sales and marketing department, where I stayed until 3 years ago. So I spent probably 13 years there, taking care of the sales and the marketing of all the 3 properties in Rome a little bit, but mostly of Rome and Florence, so the Hotel Savoy in Florence and the De Russie in Rome, promoting these hotels in all Latin American markets.
So you really have an incredibly, aside from that, you have an amazing background, because we didn't even talk about how you grew up in Rome, went to an artistic high school, like the High School for Belle Arti, but you have an incredible background in the whole formation of hotellery, which is why they called you and said, would you be interested in this very tiny 18-room hotel in the very, 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 very center of Rome, which I should let everybody know. We're not just in the very, very center of Rome. In Rome, everybody knows Via del Corso. And we are just off Via del Corso, around the corner from the Arapaces, which, according to my husband, who's an archaeologist, is the best place in the world, because it is the tomb of Augustus.
Yes.
And that is exactly where we are. So we are around the corner from Darius's favorite place in the world. And this hotel is also in the midst of a property that's super historic for the Baroque era, because it's the
Palazzo Borghese.
the Borghese family.
Yes, it's one of the most emblematic buildings. It's called one of the 4th wonder of Rome, Palazzo Borghese, and that was one of the things that really shocked me when I came, because I was very, I was happy and I didn't really want to change my job. But when they asked me to come here, I came and I got into the building. It was really something that was incredible and fascinating. There was this sort of energy, also because this was the school.
And this was like in the 1800s and 1900s a convent school.
See, it was a convent school that Princess Adelaide Borghese della Rochefoucauld, she was one of the princesses that they were in the many years of the centuries of the history of the Borghese. She was the wife of Scipione Borghese, and she, in 1841, she entrusted these portions of the house annexed to Palazzo Borghese. She entrusted them to the nuns Daughters of the Cross to make it a finishing school, Istituto di Beneficenza, for girls, for poor girls that she would see on the street. Imagine that time on the street, Rome, it was a chaos.
Yeah,
imagine.
It was
and
not
the
Rome we see
situation,
today.
yeah, and the women in general, they were really, already in a difficult position. But this lady, all of a sudden, she was coming from France. She was more ahead of the time. She was very modern. So she was really good, and so she did a lot of good things. And I think this is a part of also the good energies that you can perceive here at the Vilon, which is something that really shocked me when I arrived, to go back to what we were saying. And and the fact that we have this location in this beautiful Campo Marzio, so historical, especially also the fact that we are right in the city center, but our entrance is a little tiny door from this little tiny street, un vicolo di Roma, typical. It's like Alice in Wonderland, you just get into this little door and then you have a whole universe that opens up. That's why we call it the universe Vilon.
Yeah, well, we should talk. I'm going to ask you in one second about the name for Vilon, because I remember when you were telling me that. But I will say that is really important. This is the side street. Is this this is Via dell'Arancio?
Via dell'Arancio.
And
it used to be called Vicolo del Melangolo, which in the medieval times meant arancio, orange.
Okay.
That's why we also have one of our suite that is overlooking Vicolo del Melangolo, or Via dell'Arancio. It's the Melangolo suite.
And it's a beautiful road, but it's actually quite tiny. And when you walk down the road, when you walk down the cobblestones,
you would never expect it.
You would have no. I mean, it's literally one of those doors that unless you were deliberately coming here, or there was somebody standing at the door that dragged you by the collar, you would have no idea that it's here. And then you open up into this whole world. And I know that doors are also really, really important, because you told me that Vilon has a significance because it's an important door.
Yes, it totally. That's another, energetical kind of a thing, because the name really comes from Jerusalem, from. It's a Hebrew name called Vilon, means curtain, and it comes from the Kabbalah. And one teacher of the Kabbalah told me once in New York, which I passed by coincidence. I passed by in front of school, and I said, "Oh, you know what? I just got in, and just let me understand if this is true or not." And I met this guy, and he was amazing, because in 5 minutes he gave me all the information I wanted, saying that, I have this hotel in Rome. They told me the door is the Vilon, and he said, well, I don't really know, but I can tell you that in front of every door for the Kabbalah, in front of every door, there is a Vilon. And by saying door, we mean every passage from one stage to another of our lives. So whenever you improve your soul or your spirit, you change, in terms of knowledge and in terms of spiritual improvement. So you pass through that door. It was always there, has been always there. You couldn't see it because you were not ready to go through that door, and because there was the Vilon. So you just go through and just put the Vilon away, and you go.
Well, I have to say that is probably the effect that I had when I first came here, because it was so beautiful with the colors, with the design, the different jewel tones. And then it was also for me the first time I came through when I met you, and I was like, I know you.
It was so funny.
That was like another passage for me.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you said to me that day that really, really stuck with me was that they invited you, the owners invited you to come in before this was anything, and you helped them create this, and this became your child for how many years
I
was
don't
that?
have any kids, and I thought that this really, I thought at one point of my life, I thought, oh my God, this is really like a delivery, kind of like I'm waiting for a baby, because we were waiting and waiting and waiting and working, and we had two architects that worked together. Paolo Bonfini, he's a production designer from Cinecittà, that he did the whole project, and then we have Giampiero Panepinto, that also is the same architect that worked on our sister properties in Capri de Tiberio, Capri Palace, and we were, also waiting for all the permissions of the Sovrintendenza, because we also found a lot of come si dice pieces of from
Artifacts,
art.
yeah.
Yes, so it was really like long. We had a delay of 9 months practically of the opening. It
So
was
you had
really
a complete pregnancy here.
totally. And we were working together with this Massimo Moresi that is now he embraced another venture in Florence, but it was the two of us practically together with the architects. And we were, choosing everything in the plates, the sheets and the mattresses and the colors and, the people. We were interviewing the staff and the uniforms, and it was like the glasses and the knife, the forks, everything was really like a huge responsibility to me, also because I knew what luxury and the industry of luxury was, and what is the request and the demand of that target of luxury. So I didn't want to, open and be any step behind that. So everything had to be perfect. And then I discovered that I'm kind of sick on that, kind of very
Obsessive
compulsive, and the good thing about it is like they let me do that, because they kind of understood that I was really so involved in it as if it was mine, that they let me do that.
But that first of all, I don't think obsessive compulsive is a word I would ever use to describe you, and you don't see that. But what you do see when you come here is that this is like you've created, aside from kind of giving birth to this baby, but you've created a home. And that is even when I walk in here and you're not in the room, that's the feeling that you get immediately when you walk, you walk down that beautiful Harlequin floor and you walk into the bar, and there is this intimacy that sometimes I feel like maybe Adelaide is is reminding us of that, and I know it, but I know it's also you, because you're here and you have this presence, and everybody that you work with has the same, the same passion for what they're doing in this particular place, which I think is a little bit unique in Rome, because I think Rome has undergone, it's constantly undergoing changes, and we have a lot of amazing hotels here. We have a lot of hotel chains, but this is a little jewel, because it's so beautifully designed. It's so done lovely, but it's completely warm. It feels like you don't feel like you're in a hotel. You really feel like you're in this incredibly stylish place. I often tell Darius, this is the place where I'll have an affair. So if I have an affair, it'll be here, but he'll be with me. He'll be with me for the affair.
It's a very romantic place also. It's like, but also I think what you're saying is, I agree with you. There are a lot of good places in Rome, especially now. They have been, in the past 2 years, 3 years, new hotels, also boutique hotels that they are they're a good product. I totally agree with you, and I'm sure they are, in terms of also, if you look at the internet on the website, they're very, very nice done, and finally I would say, because there were not so many as in Milano or in other places, Paris in Europe, but I always thought that I travel a lot, and I always thought that I always wanted to find a place where I would go and feel myself not at home, because this is something that everybody always say, like, you will feel like at home. No, home is home. My home is my home, and you will never feel like you are at home. But what we can work on is the feeling that you have when you are at home. So the feeling of being comodo and not kind of I don't feel comfortable here, or somebody's giving me a look, or I don't dress properly, or I don't know. It's really something altogether. But also I think most of the it's like a new management thing also that I wanted to try since I was given the opportunity. That everybody has to be Giorgia here. It's not because I am not here that things shouldn't work. Like Bianca here at the restaurant, she works every morning. She does especially the morning, the breakfast, and she knows everybody from day one, because she knows that you want the cappuccino that way, or that you want that particular thing. She tries to understand what you really need. And here it's easier because with only 18 rooms and it's a small place, so we are able to do that. Of course, in bigger hotels, it's not that easy.
But you did say something earlier to me when we were just chatting about how when you're interviewing, because you've now, I mean, the Vilon has been open 10 months? A year.
Next month's going to be a year.
Okay, so almost a year, and when you were, you were interviewing someone, and you were saying, you at this point, there's a natural filter.
Sì, totally. This is something that it's the Vilon. It's not me hiring or keeping the staff. It's they are here. They feel comfortable to work here. They are happy to come to work. Either they don't fit, and then at that point they think, I don't think this is for me, because maybe there's something in within them they need to still build, or they're not really comfortable with the job they do, and they're not so passionate about what they do. So only real passionate staff, I would say, I can tell that by now are hired at the Vilon. And I'm happy because I can see them, and I see also the reaction of the guests when they arrive. The guests arrive and they feel like, oh my God, it's such a beautiful place, and it's not only a pretty face. Let's say that, and because also the staff and the girls at reception and all the staff, all the team they all really feel like it's a little bit part. They're really, the Vilon is also part of them, and vice versa. So that's a good thing for me. Because otherwise, you spend so much time at work, and it wouldn't be.
You've created this environment, but everybody contributes to it. Now, one of the things I think is fundamental to Vilon, but also is fundamental to you, is that you are born and bred Roman, and it is so beautiful because you grew up here, and so you, of all people, really understand this city and you've seen the changes that have happened in Rome, and because I get asked a lot, people always ask me, where should I go? What should I do? Or Rome is like this. And one of my answers that I keep telling people is Rome is a contemporary city.
Totally. And there's so many things to do. First of all, I need to say, I love Rome. I have a passion for Rome.
Yes.
and that's another reason why I decided to embrace this amazing adventure, because I really wanted to give the opportunity in such a beautiful environment, in such a bellissimo palazzo with this beautiful view overlooking the gardens of Palazzo Borghese, that you really see Rome, and it's.
But this embodies everything for me, for you especially. I think of Rome,
because it's true that we have a lot of problems in Rome, and we, a lot of difficulties for sure. But still, we live in one of the most beautiful places of the world. I mean, everybody is envious of when I say, oh, you live in Rome. Oh my God, you live in Rome. I cannot believe it. And I know, because it's true. And sometimes I go around, I have a moped, which I used since I was 13 years old, and I will never leave it, because that's the only way you can
around the city.
Exactly. Yeah. But sometimes I'm there, the traffic light, I just look up and I see something that I have never seen before, and that probably the 100 times I passed there. So, and the light, a different kind of light that you have in Rome, depending on the different times of the day or the season of the year, it's really something passionate. having said that, I love Rome because it really gives you a lot of different things. If you are lucky enough, of course, and smart enough to take advantage out of it, because there's a lot of things to do. You can go even walk around at night when there's nobody and you hear the echo of your footsteps in the city center, or it's safe and it's beautiful. You have it's romantic, and you can do many things. There are very good restaurants everywhere, not only in the city center but also in the suburbs. I'm talking about Garbatella, San Giovanni. There are real.
So Garbatella is a suburb for you?
Well, not suburbs, but not. I mean suburbs in terms of from the city center.
From the centro storico.
Since I feel like I live in the city center because I'm always here. But I live in San Giovanni, and to me it's not suburb for sure. It's only 15 minutes from here with the scooter, but you do have a lot of restaurants there, and you still feel la romanità,
Well, I think that's exactly. I think that's exactly what I think too, is that Rome is so much bigger than the centro storico, and it's a contemporary city. Now, one of the things I'm going to turn to this conversation because I started thinking about this when you mentioned that your sister had suggested that you get involved in the whole hotel industry, and then I realized that you are one of the few female general managers of a hotel, of a 5-star hotel in all of Italy. One of the other ones that I know just happens to be the general manager of the Tiberio.
Yes.
Who happens to have the same last name as you, who's your sister. So I know you guys are a force to be reckoned with, but it's a very small group of you that are female general managers.
Yes, it is, and for me, it's the very first experience. So I would be a liar if I would say that I am, already know everything about it. But I do understand now a lot more what she was talking about when she was telling me many things. Because she always, the difference between me and her is that she always wanted to be a general manager. She always wanted to work in hotel business, and she worked in a lot of hotels. She's been a general manager in many hotels, and she's very, kind of a comandante, kind of. Our father was a comandante dell'Alitalia, so I think she took a lot of
that's
from
right. Your
from
father
him.
Was the comandante of Alitalia,
and
which
I was more the artistical part. I was more the bohemian side of the family.
The bossy and you're the artsy.
Kind of. But then, we compensate each other a lot. And when I started to work in the sales and marketing department, we started also to work together and to travel together. So now the hotel industry know that we are sister, and then we are in the same industry, and they're like, oh, the Tozzi sister. And so it's fun, it's nice. And now that I'm a GM also, it's fun because finally we have a kind of an identity, especially because we are sister properties. So this is something
It's very
unique. And we are using it, of course, as a kind of
so when I was
marketing promotion, which is
I did something similar. My sister and I went to the same university together. Now, we do not do any of the same things, but I completely understand. Like, it was kind of cool. Like, people would be like, the Firpo sisters. And I'm like, yeah. Here we are.
See. And it's fun because we are totally different from each other, but yet very similar. And and we love each other, and we've always helped each other, and it's good to have now somebody that I can talk to and that she can talk to, and also because we have the same boss now, so it's fun.
Do you guys still travel together?
Yes, absolutely. And we also now, since we have sister properties, we are sharing, when we go to these big events, like now we're going to big events in April and June. There are this very big happening that in the hotel business, so we're sharing either the booth or we're sharing the
and everybody's like, oh no, Oh, the Tozzi
the
sisters.
Tozzi sister on the camera. Oh my God! And then when we start to talk together, they're like, oh, stay away, be afraid.
The fabulous Tozzi.
They're
That could be
so
a movie.
funny.
The fabulous Tozzi
There's
sisters.
this very good friend of mine. He calls us the toxic sister instead of the Tozzi sister. It's fun.
With lots of love. With lots of love. So I wanted to just wrap up a little bit. I love talking to you, and the other reason I love talking to you is because for me you embody contemporary Rome. So with that in mind, I wanted to ask you just your thoughts on if you can give me some suggestions on what you think contemporary Rome is, where to go. So if your guests are here and they're like, I've been to the Colosseum. I love the trattoria, but I want to feel like you. I want to feel like Giorgia. I want to go out with Giorgia and Stefano. Where would I go?
Well, first of all, I'm thinking about this very nice restaurant, Trattoria, that is in San Giovanni again. A very good friend of mine, Claudia, that is called the Trattoria Bocci. And he's been, it used to be called Il Bruttone, and he was in Via Taranto. But then he's really like, he's the most amazing guy that you would never, ever, I mean, there are people queuing outside.
Ah.
See, very good. You should try that.
We'll go there with you guys.
See, absolutely, and it's very good and typical Roman food. There's another place, and it's in Torvaianica, that is called Schiano, where you eat fish. It's one of the most Schiano in Torvaianica that you would never ever go there
I've
if
never
you're
even heard of it.
It's litorale laziale on the side to go south on. You go to Ostia and then you go on the south. And it's absolutely amazing. And the restaurant, it's really beautiful because you have these beautiful windows overlooking the beach. So you see the sea. You have a look at the sea, and the food is amazing. In Rome, talking about Rome, I like a lot little restaurants around the area of Trastevere as well. I love a lot Monteverde. I love Fregene, of course, and the beach and. Testaccio also. There's another. I like Il Bucatino. I don't know if you've ever been there.
We've been there with Giuseppe. Yes, I've been there
It's
ages
very
ago.
Good. Bucatino, and I like the Baffetto. Is a typical.
The pizzeria?
Sì.
So do we.
I love
My husband
Baffetto
and I
è un evergreen. It's in Via del Governo Vecchio. It reminds me of my infanzia. We used to go there all the time. My childhood.
If somebody was to say to you, so Giorgia, I've been everywhere. I'm here. I'm coming back, but I've been to the Galleria Borghese and I've been to the Colosseum. I've been to the Vatican, but I want to see some culture. Where would you tell them to go?
Well, for sure, close to Rome, c'è Villa Adriana, Tivoli, questi posti. These are beautiful places where to go. These are usually the second,
The
third
archaeological
site that you would never, go on first base when you come to Rome the first time. Però even modern art museums and.
Like the Galleria Nazionale.
Galleria Nazionale. Sometimes they have very nice exhibitions. Yeah, I would say that.
That's a great place. That's actually one of my favorite places.
Yeah, even the one in Testaccio, the new Maxi. Is it the new Maxi?
The Macro.
The Macro.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have very nice exhibitions there, photography exhibitions, and even that you would never think of in Rome, but sometimes they do have very good things there.
Well, I think that's what I think a lot of people don't realize, that you can see like Rome has different elements that are very contemporary, like the Maxi, like the Galleria Nazionale, like the Macro. A lot of people don't expect that because they want to see, they want to kind of pigeonhole Rome to antiquity. And then they have these special, beautiful places.
Yeah, sometimes they do also have very nice exhibition in All'Eur, al Palazzo del... what's the name? Where the Fendi...
Civico Romana?
Sì, sometimes they do some very nice, bellissimi... come si chiama? Oddio, I can't remember it now. Anyway, they have very nice exposure there. Exhibitions, they do events, and photographies and videos from the Palazzo delle Civiltà.
Piazza del Civiltà, yes. Quadrato, where
Yes.
the Fendi headquarters is in Ayor. That's a great place because you're absolutely right. We've seen some incredible exhibitions there.
Yeah.
And it's something you wouldn't even expect.
Exactly, never. And they actually do a lot of nice things there, and projections of videos or exhibitions of art. So they have done all these exhibitions like last year of the movies of where
that
they
was
had
so
you know,
cool.
you do
percorso,
percorso around, and it was fun and it was nice. It was different.
Yeah, Fendi's been doing that's a great point. I think a lot of people don't realize that they don't know that there's that whole other section of Rome that is very, very bizarrely modern, the Ayor neighborhood. And then Fendi has, on their ground level of their headquarters, has an exhibition space. So they had the show on the movies where it was anybody in cinema, which I know you would love because that's your background,
Yes.
and I love it too, where they had the costumes from specific films. And then they had a show that I particularly love of Giuseppe Pannone, who's the very famous Italian artist. These are all great suggestions, and I'm so happy I got a chance to speak with you about this.
Thank you. No, grazie.
Well, thank you for having
me. Thank you so much.
Well, I think it's time we should have some lunch. What do you
Yes,
think?
we should.
Okay, I'm
Let's
hungry.
order.
Let's do it. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ciao Bella. You can find all my episodes on iTunes, and if you have time, subscribe, rate, and let me know your thoughts on the podcast. You can also be part of the podcast by donating. Find Ciao Bella on patreon.com, where with as little as $1, you get behind-the-scenes photos and videos as I travel all throughout Italy. To learn more about me and my work, go to my website, ericafirpo.com, and follow my Italy adventures on Instagram at ericafirpo. Ciao Bella! And a very big thank you and hug to Massimiliano Yonta and Dis to Dis Studios, the producers of Ciao Bella who continue to make me sound and feel great.